Tony Bachman is with us, and because of the Easter weekend, we're a little later this year. Normally the 5th, but it was the 12th.
Yep.
Can you forgive us?
Absolutely. No, Easter takes precedence over any of the thing that we're doing here with numbers.
You know, when I got the numbers last Thursday, I was like, they're in.
Yeah.
And then after I saw all the numbers that you did, along with your compadre there that knows the business as well, it was like, what was I worried about? These guys have the answers. So what is the answer this morning?
Wow, that's putting a lot of pressure on us, Rick. How are you feeling about that? So I think the snapshot, I mean, we talk about, the inventory levels and all that, but I think the feeling that we want to convey here is the fact that traditionally we start to see our spring season happen in March. And we're seeing some of that in these numbers. I mean, we're seeing that, we're seeing an increase in the number of new listings and that sort of thing, which has been helpful. We also saw an increase in the month's supply of inventory. We went from 1.6 months of inventory, which is about a third of what we're normally used to, in the first 2 months of January and February, to about 1.8. So there is a little bit of a bright light at the end of the tunnel.
So you're saying there is a chance?
I'm saying there's a chance. Yeah, if you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. So you're saying there's a chance. So,
all right, who's this guy beside you this morning?
This is Mr. Rick Trapp. He's the president of our Realtors Association of the Sioux Empire. So he's the guy that has been in training for a long time, and that's why he's where he's at.
That's right.
All right. Now, you also sent me some numbers over the weekend. I got a little busy, didn't get a chance to see the fact that I had plenty of information from good people. So point by point, what would you say, Rick, that we ought to be talking with Tony about as well?
Well, exactly what he said. I mean, the inventory March is basically our coming into the spring. People are coming back. School's going to get over with. People are making different decisions. Nicer weather. People are getting out. Overall, I mean, the inventory is still down, but it looks like we're down just because of where we're at and everything's selling so fast. And basically, overall, it's going to be a good spring.
What kind of weekends are you having?
I think we're all really busy. I mean, we're trying to find homes for our buyers, and then we're also, like, open houses have been pretty steady. I mean, depending on the open house location, those have been pretty steady and pretty busy too. I will say I noticed that maybe, and hopefully these numbers increasing will help a little bit of the buyer's fatigue. I said I think we're experiencing, not only with the buyers, but some of the buyer's agents, where there's a little bit of fatigue, where they're like, they see a home that comes out, it's right at the top of their price point of what they can afford, and they say, I don't even know if I want to try for it because I don't even have a chance at getting it at that price. But when we see an increase in inventory, that's going to help maybe those numbers a little bit and help kind of loosen things up a little bit, where buyers aren't up against 5 to 10 offers. It maybe it's only 2 offers, which will be, helpful. So, and I think that the other thing what we've noticed with buyers is sometimes they're not even looking at the price of the home. I mean, it's, when someone says, well, why would I give them $5,000 or $10,000 more? That may have been the previous conversation. Now it's like, okay, I know I can afford X amount per month, and so I'm willing to pay $240 for that house, even though it was priced at $230, because it only cost them another $40 a month for their payment.
Rick, I saw a note from Kristen about talking about professionalism in real estate and the fact that we want to encourage people during these times where the supply is not as much as it should be. We're maybe seeing a tick up or two as far as interest rates, and we'll talk with Brent Adney about that. But working with a professional, the 800 or so that are in your association is pretty important.
It is very important because it's just not selling a house or putting a sign up in the yard. There's multiple things behind it that no one sees behind our closed doors. It comes down to disclosures, lead-based paint disclosures, keeping people informed, keeping the title companies informed, the banks up to date what we're going on, the appraisers keeping them in line, and then when it kicks
back. Or
they
keep us in line, too.
Well, we want them to keep us in line.
Yes.
Because we need them as much as they need us.
The other thing that I noticed, too, is when we were trained for real estate, we weren't trained with all the things that we're seeing today. we have to adapt a little better. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, it's
Tony?
a constantly evolving, profession. I mean, I think that the fact of the days of, the simplicity part, and I'm not saying it was simple before. I'm just saying, like, now you have to have a multitude of talents. And, how I look at it being on a team is I know that I have my weaknesses. I leverage those weaknesses with my team, so I bring those strengths. So I have strengths in certain areas. They have strengths in certain areas, so that we were more well-rounded for our clients.
All right, from both of you, where are we going in this quarter? What would you say, Rick?
We're going the same way we've started, forward. And again, I always keep saying patience. Houses are going to come. We're getting the first and second shots, and more people are going to get out. Homes are going to come.
Yeah, I think that to that point where more vaccinations have come into play, I think we're seeing a number of people who have a little bit higher comfort factor in reference to potentially listing their home. And then you combine that with the time of year, our traditional spring time of year for people, what their, perception of looking at making a move. So the combination of those two are going to be a positive effect in reference to inventory levels. Also, there was a economist that basically predicted that we're looking at an increase, basically 6.6 million existing homes in the United States will sell this year. With that, that's about 17% more than 2020. So 2021 is going to continue to be a very fast-paced year. So we're not going to slow down. Yes, interest rates tend to put people a little bit on their heels, but it's not enough. So far, it's been fairly insignificant, the amount of the interest rate climbing. But we have to keep our eye on it. I mean, I think we're going to be good through this year. We've talked about this a number of times because Federal Reserve has said they're going to try and maintain, some semblance of this interest rate. It's the part of the unknown once we get past this year. But, at this point, we can only deal with what's in front of us, and we're talking to our sellers and talking to our buyers about this scenario.
Rick, I'm going to bring up one number that came from our friends at City Hall about the multiple family units. 463 this year. We had 15 last year in the first quarter of the year, 136 in 2019. People are concerned they need a place to live.
Correct. And that's what we're hearing out there. And we're hearing it from the builders. We're hearing about the houses they're selling, and that's great, but there is no place for these people going. And if they can't find an existing house or a new construction, they're going to have some rentals, and they need that. They need a place to live.
Tony, from this weekend, the questions you're being asked by those people that are buying and selling would include?
Number one is price is going to continue to increase. And at this point, I mean, with inventory starting to increase, we might not see as dramatic of increase, but certain homes, certain price points, we're going to continue to see an appreciation of home value. The other thing they ask a lot about is interest rates. What do you think? What do you, and I always tell them, please speak with your lender. But, from everything we've heard and everything we've read, at this point, interest rates are going to continue to be somewhere where they're at right now. So, I think that's the biggest thing that's on people's minds right now is interest rates and inventory levels. And I would just tell them they're in a really good position. Buyers are in a great position. And sellers are in a great position. Sellers have this, they basically have this equity in their home that has been built, a lot of equity just in the last 12 months. And so we're talking to a lot of sellers that even though they're a little reluctant because like Rick said, they're like, where do I go? What if I sell my house, where to go? We're having more of a comprehensive conversation with them, and we're getting them there. And Rick and I talked just before the show, and we just said, we know of a lot of people who are willing to list their home and sell their house, if someone can come up with where they could go. And so we're constantly putting these connections together right now.
All right. Tony, the one thing that you said that jumped out at me was if you were looking for spring, it was last fall.
Yeah. So for buyers, the spring market started at the end of October. And we knew that because we saw inventory levels drop from the start of end of October to like November, December, January by 20%. Over inventory levels every month, which was that's where all of a sudden we started seeing prices increase. It wasn't uncommon to see a house that sold back in October for, I use this example all the time because I had it happen. A house that sold for $230,000 back in October or September now is selling for $245,000. That's a pretty big increase in reference to just a matter of a few months.
Well, tells people they should be listening this morning and they should be paying attention and use professionals, right?
Correct.
I think in this market, it's really hard for someone who's just shopping online or just clicking because there's so much activity out there and people are like, I like this house, I like that house. Well, no, it's under contract. It's under contract. You need to be working with a professional that can say, okay, here, this one's coming on, or this one just came on today, so that way we can keep you up to date minute to minute.
The word patience is in our vocabulary.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Tony, appreciate you being here.
Thank you, Bill.
We're going to keep this guy over. He's a president. He's got to meet the other president.
You need to grill him a little bit more.
We'll see what we can do.
All right. Thank you, Bill.